Oops. I went to go light something and it blew out. So we try it again. Okay, lighting some Palo Santo. Getting that all warm. Probably should get a new stick because this is kind of, you know, a little bit on the end of things here. All right. Okay, clearing some energy. Sending that your way. I hope you all are doing well. Clearing our cards in our space for our highest and greatest good, and so it is. All right, let's ask the angel saints, ancestors, and spirit guides into our space for divine guidance, protection, and messages for our highest and greatest good. Let's call in Archangel Michael to protect us from any ill will through thought, word, or action for our highest and greatest good. And so it is. Okay. All right. Can't believe it's already Thursday, so this week is flying by. Oof, the Empress and the Ten of Cups when you split the deck. Can't complain there, huh? That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of energy we're talking about. All right. What is the advice for the collective on this fine day? Enjoying that new outlook on life, right? Positive energy, new beginnings, new experiences, being very tapped in, right? Being neutral as well. As we, you know, kind of encounter certain things in our life. We have the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. They're like, oh. Yeah, the High Priestess really is talking about, like, you know, tapping into that inner wisdom and knowledge, having those neutral insights, seeing things from both points of view, perspectives, and being okay with how things unfold, because at the end of the day, you have that higher line of sight. Yeah, Hierophant energy. All right, so we have a High Priestess and a Hierophant and the Fool. All right, talking about that spiritual leadership. All right, that tradition, the influence of situations, you know, kind of balancing all things that are going on in our society, and, you know, just making sure that, like, the loyalty to oneself is there. All right. And then, you know, I'm kind of picking up on a couple here. Okay, I've got a Hierophant and a High Priestess, and then I have the Two of Cups. All right, this is like high-level soulmate energy as well. All right, so let's see what else. I feel like these two are coming together. All right. Yeah, there's a soul contract here also is what I'm getting. Yeah. Okay, here's that blessing in disguise. All right, with that cup. There's been a lot of, like, regret and loss. There's a reason why this didn't work out. Whatever didn't work out in the past is because there's something far better for... there's something far better. You had to learn what you had to learn. You had to experience what you had to experience, right? Having that compassion, forgiveness, and patience in the situation. Again, understanding that neutral insight, the Hierophant and the High Priestess, that they're both, like, centered in between two columns, you know, tapping in, having that accessibility to wisdom and knowledge. They both have that. Okay, she too is also in between two columns, okay? Holding on to the seed of life and holding on to an important scroll, right? Both having that understanding that, like, we experience things for our higher and greater good, right? Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's not the best, but, you know, we get through it, we push through it, right? We learn something at the end of the tunnel. And this really talks about, you know, having that compassion, patience, and inner strength to overcome whatever we're set to overcome here on earth, okay? Just gonna move this crisp so that you guys can kind of see the cards. It's like you can't see them. Can you see them? Sort of. Okay. We have the Lovers, okay? You know, again with the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. And the Lovers, and we have the High Priestess and the Hierophant, and Lovers talks about like choices, whether something's right or wrong, and you know, we are aligned with certain people for a certain reason, all right, and just kind of like understanding that there's a lesson to be learned from those relationships, from those experiences with different people, and you know, it's not a form of punishment, right? It's not like, you know, it's about that growth, that soul growth. You know, there's contrast and there's differences and there's certain harmony, there's roles in a relationship and dynamics of a relationship. And I feel like that's a lot of what this is about, right? Is about the dynamics in relationships with other people and how we show up for that. There might be a little bit of like boundaries up, defense going on because of these experiences that you've had in relationships, and kind of like the dynamic where you've had to like defend yourself, right? I feel like you're being called to maybe let those guards down. Yeah, right now you might be staying to yourself, right, with the Hermit card. You know, this is also you kind of like having the ability to share your experiences with others for their highest and greatest good so that they can make better choices on their path. Certainly you are making better choices for yourself as it relates to people you're interacting with based on what you've learned. Okay, we have Two of Swords. Yeah, this is about decisions, right? And you know, our decisions create our reality, right? And so I feel like, you know, these are difficult cards with the Five of Wands. This really talks about like competition. I feel like, you know, you've been put in competition quite a bit, and now you're like, well, I'm not competing with other people. Either you choose me or you don't. I choose me regardless, okay? You know, and there's some fear and anxiety about this, that like you might be put into competition again. But here's the thing, like you are no longer in that energy anymore. Like you've grown through that. You've forgiven yourself, you've forgiven others. You have stronger boundaries now. You have forgiveness, you have compassion. You know, you're definitely being like protected from any kind of chaos and conflict and drama. I think that, you know, someone might be regretting a choice that they've made, and as a result are experiencing this as part of what they created for themselves as far as that's concerned. Let's get the last card out here. Eight of Swords really talks about like, yeah, look, Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So someone might want to apologize, or someone is feeling bad about the choices they've made for themselves. Doesn't mean that they're actually coming towards you or anything like that, but I feel like that self-evaluation is happening at this time. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. Where are we? There. Yeah, there's some self-evaluation going on right now. Yeah, because, yeah, all right. So there might be some action coming towards some of you with the Eight of Wands. We have the Emperor energy. You're in your power. You're moving on and you're in your power. Like you're not going backwards. Like this energy is moving forwards. Like you understood the lesson learned and you're applying it and you're moving forwards, okay? And with the Emperor energy, this really talks about like being in your power, leadership, like making decisions. You're very logical. You're maintaining all the different structures in your life, and you're not stuck or stagnant or, you know, wallowing in your pain, okay? I feel like you freed yourself from that. You made the decision to free yourself from that, okay? You decided like certain energy no longer serves you, right? Like you are making better choices for yourself. You have all this self-love now, right? Which is beautiful. Moving on past the heartache, drama, and pain, okay? Because you gained a new outlook on life. You gained a new outlook in the situation. This was the purpose of all of this, was to kind of gain that insight and knowledge, all right? To not give your power away to anybody and to be in your sovereign self, okay? Know your value and worth is really what this is about, right? Yeah. All right, so Knight of Pentacles. And this was, you know, this takes time. It's kind of like, you know, you are worth the investment, okay? Investing in yourself pays off, and it's not a race, all right? Because the Knight of Pentacles really talks about like, it's like slow movement. It's like, you know, evaluating everything before making an investment. All right. Like really, you know, counting the coins up, doing that assessment, making sure that, you know, the direction that is being moved towards is the right one. And just really making sure that like everything's, you know, completed before taking on the next thing. Okay, so sometimes like our progress, our outlook, our experience, our lesson, it can take a while. And I think sometimes we get impatient, right? We get impatient with the Knight of Wands, because the Knight of Wands is somebody who can act abruptly, as well as like, you know, I don't know, can be sometimes like, you know, almost like thinks but or acts before thinking is what I was trying to say. Okay, so I feel like the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands are two totally different energies. Okay, so in the past you might have acted before thinking things through, and now you've learned to think things through logically before acting. Okay, and that is also part of like some growth, right? Some personal development. And that's like a new perspective. Like yeah, look, this is mature. This is like maturity. This is growth. We have the Knight of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles, right? So this is about like leveling up. This is about experience, right? This is gained experience, right? Gained knowledge, gained wisdom through experience, okay? Sometimes the, what's the saying? Oh gosh, I don't know, it'll come to me. But anyways, this really talks about like that, you know, more stable, grounded, secure energy, right? That is also something gained through this process. Yeah. I feel like you may have jumped the gun before, or put all your eggs in one basket without really evaluating everything from a logical point of view. And so now you've gained that ability to kind of like be okay with just sitting back and evaluating something logically before acting. Yeah, I think maybe before, you know, there might have been a lot of overgiving or people pleasing. And so now you kind of sit back and be like, okay, well, let me evaluate this. Like, do I really need to do something to please this person so that I feel loved and cared for and not abandoned? Or, you know, do I wait to make sure that there's equal reciprocity, equal energy being exchanged here before I take any further action? All right. And the Sun card really talks about like having that clarity and understanding, right? And making sure that whatever can be like put on the table is put on the table for clarity and understanding. Like if there's something you don't have clarity on, you seek that clarity and you go within for it. Right? You're not relying on someone else to give you that clarity anymore, right? You're not like people's words no longer hold weight. Okay. It's the actions behind the words that make more of a stance for you now. I think also it references, you know, heartbreak and betrayal. Like you no longer believe what people tell you. You wait for them to show you, all right? Because you've been deceived before. You've experienced being put in competition, and, you know, you may have stayed with that energy for reasons outside of, you know, what's for your highest and greatest good, because of fear, because of anxiety, because of people pleasing, because of being manipulated and controlled and told what you wanted to hear, and there was no energy to back it up. And so I feel like you're using this now as a way to navigate. Yeah, look at King of Wands. Like, this is little fire under your ass. You know, like, I feel like, you know, it's what was needed to inspire change in you, right? We all experience things that lit a fire under our asses, okay? It creates a situation, an experience that makes us take action for us to go within and do that self-evaluation, all right? Because the wands really talk about like motivation, taking on challenges, being inspired, having a burst of energy. Like, change doesn't just happen on its own, right? Like, sometimes there needs to be some sort of inspired experience to cause change, all right? And that's also like when you see the Tower card. The Tower card is on fire. Let me see if I can find it. Because look, it like gets hit by lightning bolts. Can you see? And then in some tarot cards, the Tower is on fire. So this represents like there's some sort of higher level involvement that is inspiring something to like cause for change, if you will. Okay, it's like cause for change. All right, and it was for your highest and greatest good, you know, and that's kind of what the Sun card is saying here, right? This is like the sense of God, the presence of God, clarity, exposure. Like, I feel like, you know, you people pleasing and giving more to others than them giving to you was exposed, right? And it was a cause for change, okay? And for some of you, all right? It like caused you to do a really big self-evaluation. Yeah. Knight of Cups. And some of it is because of how you feel about yourself, right? The cups talk about feelings. You know, whether, you know, it's also talks about intuition, psychic sensitivity. You know, sometimes like, you know, we overflow with emotions for people. Sometimes people manipulate emotions in order to get what they want. And so I feel like, you know, when it comes to feelings and how you feel about yourself, you know, when we don't have like strong self-worth and love, we tend to overgive to people. Okay. And sometimes we get wooed, right, by the emotional manipulation, and we don't think logically about things. And so I feel like this might have something to speak to the fact that like this needed to be, someone was exposed, okay, as being a very strong emotional manipulator. Like, they tell you what you want to hear but have no action